Hi, I'm West, and I love talking about the Rangers. I'm here to talk about Game 66, where the Rangers lose 3-2 to the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime in another just explainable loss. Can you tell from my tone that I'm just completely sick of it? The explainable losses, the explainable excuses, the valid excuses that the Rangers have wheeled out over the past, 10 games or so. Let's go over the past 10 games just for the sake of it. You have the 4-1 loss to Winnipeg that, hey, get goalied sometimes. It happens. You know, they went off. That was Hellebuck, yeah? If I'm not dumb. Yeah, Hellebuck just goes wild and bodies you. And then there's the next game that you play against Detroit, and it's the same thing. You outshoot them like 31 to like 23, and sometimes you get goalied twice in a row. It's kind of funny when it happens. Then the next game, there actually wasn't one for that one. That was just Washington killing you. That was a lot of fun. Then you go to the next night, the Kings game, and you actually win that one and really look good against the Kings for no reason, despite everything that we've ever learned about hockey saying that we probably should have gotten absolutely murdered in that game. You go on to murder them because why wouldn't you? Anyway, then you go to the Philadelphia Flyers game a couple days later, and hey, it wasn't that convincing of a win, but there's all the stuff floating around with the Kane trade. No one could really focus in. You still won, so it was fine. And then you go to the next game, and it's the second night of a back-to-back with travel. And it's against Ottawa, and hey, the lines are changed up, and Kane hasn't really practiced with the team. He's only had one practice, so that would explain why you lose to them. And then you go to Boston, and you lost to the best team to ever exist. There's not even a joke there. You genuinely just lost to the best team to ever exist because Boston's kind of not a real team this season anyway. Then you go to Montreal and you win that game 4-3 in the shootout, and you had to go to the shootout, but don't worry about it. That's because we went like a month without playing in between the Boston game and the Montreal game. And then you go to Buffalo on yesterday, but 2 days ago because now it's like 3 in the morning. I'm gonna die tomorrow. Anyway, the Buffalo game, and it's, well, hey, it went to overtime, but you're on a nightmarish road trip. It makes sense, right? Then tonight, you lose to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And again, it makes sense. I understand it. It's a valid reason. It's the second night of a back-to-back with travel. You're tired. It started 22 hours after the previous game. Who scheduled that, first of all? I understand all of them. And quite a few of them are valid excuses. Quite a few of them make sense. I understand that. Here's the issue that I have. Good teams, and especially great teams, find ways to overcome those valid excuses and win. The Rangers, over the past stretch, the past 10 games, not like the past 2 games, this is a good chunk. The past 10 games have been met by reasons and just not overcome them. They simply haven't. They've had okay games in that time period. The Kings game was a real standout. But they're just puttering along after making 2 massive trades for Tarasenko and Kane. This is a team that through their actions have said, we're going all in this season, right? Which, doing that when Boston is maybe the greatest team ever is probably not the best decision, but that's beside the point. The Rangers have pushed all in because you make the Tarasenko trade or the Kane trade individually, that's a big, oh yeah, they're interested in going far. Doing them together, all in, every chip. And it's this year or not for a little bit, because there's not going to be a dime in free agency that the Rangers have available. You really can't trade anything because you need to rebuild some of your assets and draft picks, and just rebuild some of that with prospects. So, more or less, there's not going to be another season next year. You're not going to go into the deadline and be able to do the Kopp, Vetrano, and Mott, or the Tarasenko, Kane, and Mott again going into next year. This is a big year for the Rangers, and they just haven't found a way to meet the challenge. And, again, good teams and great teams find ways to overcome them. The Rangers simply aren't. And if you're just going to have an excuse of why, or a reason of why, or a valid explanation of why you're going to lose in the playoffs, maybe let someone else have a try at it. Gotta bring it up because it's absolutely insane. Changing the lines again. I need you to understand how much I hate it. I don't understand. It has worked once. In 2 years, it has worked one time. Where Gerard Gallant, after the first little bit where the team is having one of those games, has just brought the fishbowl out, threw all the names in, and lines. It has worked one time in 2 seasons. And tonight, what a shock! It didn't! Your first goal came from the grinder line. I'm not calling them that ever again. The fourth line. The fourth line had the best chemistry, by the way. Of the past, I would say 2 games, the fourth line's probably had the best chemistry. Anyway, moving on from that little fun factoid. They had a good goal with Gaudreau sniffing around the net, him and VC there being little pests. That was good. Other goal of the game, your only other goal, came from what probably should have just been a penalty. And it was Trocheck elbowing Evgeny Malkin in the back, which, again, I understand that Evgeny Malkin has done some not wonderful hits in his time and isn't beloved by a lot of people outside of the Penguins fan base. But you can't be doing that. That should have been a penalty. That was bad. And the Rangers get this, not off of the lines being shuffled so there's fun new chemistry. No. It was from what should have been a very clearly elbowing penalty that turned into a rush the other way for the Rangers that then led to, because Evgeny Malkin was laying shot on the ice, Chris Kreider being wide open and getting a pass from Trocheck. It wasn't that the lines had awesome chemistry and that's how you're able to get your goal, your second one. It was just like, yeah, you got it because the ref was blind on a play. Congratulations. That's surely going to lead to these lines getting another 20 minutes of time in the next game. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Weston, where's all the negativity coming from? The Rangers are still in a playoff spot. They're still all right. They haven't bottomed out. It's not like they've lost 8 of their past 10 or anything. But they've gotten 1 regulation win in the past 12 games. And that's a big old issue. I'll end it on a positive note, which is I truly, truly think the team can right the ship. 100%. You have Igor Shesterkin in net, who came off of one of his best games of the season against Buffalo. The lines, when they're correct, are genuinely fantastic. Kreider, Mika, and Tarasenko as the first line, wonderful. Panarin, Kane, and Trocheck on the second line, wonderful. The kids line, fantastic. The fourth line just being a bunch of dirty, not dirty in a bad way, but just in the mud, right? They're going to grit their way to goals and minutes and chances. I genuinely think they have 4 good lines, right? Even the fourth line is pretty solid and can have their moments. The defensive pairs, when they play like they should, are good. Very good. And once you get Ryan Lingard back, it's going to be even better. But those playoffs are no longer, 70 games away, or 60 games away, or 50, or 40, or 30, not even 20. You're getting really, really close to the playoffs. And you're coming down the stretch where you need to be getting mentally prepared for it. And so the riding of this ship has got to come relatively quickly. So the Rangers play again on Tuesday at 7 o'clock back in Madison Square Garden, taking on the Washington Capitals. I'll be here afterwards to talk about it, but as for right now, that's all I have. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Rangers.